Another beautiful morning greeted us in the hills outside Monteverde, but as all good things must come to an end, it was time to pack up and head out. We headed southwest towards the Pacific side of Costa Rica, where we had a couple of days worth of combined fun and R&R, including ATVing and some much needed beach time. We decided to stop at a bit of a tourist draw on the way down. You can sort of see why. The bridge overlooking the Crocodiles River gives you a safe bird's eye view of the local American crocodile. This area is a crocodile sanctuary home to not just crocodiles, but also giant iguanas and other beautiful local fauna.
Yeah, exactly. Like rats. He's like, what you call me?
What'd you say about me?
After another delicious Costa Rican lunch of casado, rice, beans, plátanos, chicken, and salad, we got our gear on and headed out for our ATV ride. We're halfway through our ATV ride. We just stopped at a waterfall and did a little hike, and now we're back on the road. Woo! Because we are so close to the equator, once dusk hits, true darkness actually falls rather quickly. Not everyone's ATV headlights were working, so we had to blaze through the jungle, having faith that the ATVs ahead and behind us would keep us on the trail. As with any adventure, one's outlook is the difference between an ordeal and an experience. Had we accentuated the negative, we might have missed a tiny highlight to our evening. You can't quite tell in this video, but we were treated to endless fireflies as we made our way through the remaining 5 kilometers of darkness back to base camp. At one point, we thought we were being pulled over by a cop who suddenly came out of nowhere and had his lights on. We didn't have the slightest idea what the speed limit was because it changes so frequently and is hardly posted on the highways in Costa Rica. Turns out he passed us up and ended up what felt like escorting us about 10 kilometers before he turned off the road. It made us feel good that he was in front of us and not behind us though. We learned that in Costa Rica, the flashing lights usually don't mean anything at all. Police and ambulances almost always have their lights on, and it doesn't necessarily mean you are getting pulled over. How would one know? I have no clue, but glad we didn't find out.
Hey you guys! And just a splash of juice. Fire it up! Fire it up! Fire it up!
Salud, everybody.
Finally made it to our next rest for the night. Time for a fresh cocktail and some fun pool time. Time for a little dinner and drink. We got to sample another version of Costa Rica's specialty drink, Chile Guaro. Think of a less spicy, slightly sweet Bloody Mary. Then it was back to home for the night, where some enjoyed local cigars and we got to see gecko versus giant grasshopper entertainment on our deck. Of course, no Costa Rica morning is complete without a proper cup of local coffee and some exotic bird just hanging out off your deck overlooking the Pacific. And off we go to enjoy one of the local beaches just a 5-minute drive from our Airbnb. Your arrival is greeted with local businesses offering you cabanas, kayak and snorkel gear rentals, and even home-cooked meals and drinks from the local houses delivered right to your spot on the beach. And of course, I couldn't resist another fresh pipa fria opportunity. There were also these. Marketing tactics to get your attention? We weren't sure what to make of these and figured it must be some local thing we did not understand. But this is why you travel, right? It's a reminder that everything outside our own front door isn't the only way things are done. Ruben decided to rent a kayak for a couple of hours to get some fishing time in, and I went straight to snorkeling. The water conditions were actually much more clear on this Pacific side, and we were treated with more easy-floating, high salinity content water. We heard there was a sea turtle around the cliffs, but had no luck catching sight of any. Either way, this day was nothing less than amazing. A quick stop for a late lunch before the 3-hour drive ahead of us landed us at the airplane restaurant, El Avión. They don't exactly tell us how this plane ended up here, but it does have to do with the Iran-Contra affair back in the 80s. Seems that there's yet more secrets to the Iran-Contra affair other than why our pistachios aren't red anymore. Does anybody else out there know why pistachios aren't red anymore? Let us know in the comments below if you do. The 3-hour drive turned into something closer to over 4 hours. This drive proved to be one of the most exhausting drives of the entire trip. Hats off to Ruben and Vince for getting us to our last Airbnb safely. We couldn't believe the view of San Jose, the capital city below, let alone the grandeur of the house we stayed in. Truly a magical retreat to spend our last night in beautiful Costa Rica. My final cup of morning coffee could not have been more peaceful. Funny how I got used to drinking the coffee black here, since real half and half just doesn't seem to exist. Plus, it would have been hard to keep it cold during all of our travels. Sigh, the sacrifices one makes. Our last morning was bittersweet. The adventure time altogether was unmatched, and it couldn't have been better to make our exit than on Brian's birthday. After all, he pretty much organized everything. But there's truly no place like home, and we were all ready to get back to our own version of normal life.
Happy birthday to you. Pura vida.
Pura vida!
¡Pura vida!
Pura vida.
¡Pura vida!
Pura vida. Happy days, babe.
Happy days.
Our last morning in Costa Rica. Off to the airport we go.
Pura vida.
Thanks for following along on our Costa Rica adventure. It was the most incredible experience to not just stay in one area, but to experience the entire country as a whole. Need some tips on where to go, what to do? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on our future adventures near and far. Next stop, hot springs,
mining,
Eastern Sierra
off-roading,
backpacking,
night
desert
hiking,
camping, rock
cliff
climbing,
diving,
ice fishing,
engine
trail
building.
running.
Oh yes, and fishing, and shenanigans. Wait for me!